Break from my 55 Ford build and doing a little repair to my Mercedes Benz. I have a W203 C240 and the water pump went bad, so I'm going to do a water pump change and swap out the thermostat while I'm doing it. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into this. All right, so right underneath that pulley is a 17mm bolt. You put a ratchet on that bolt. Counterclockwise will allow you to release the tension to take the belt off. All right, so after you have released the tension, you can take the belt and just fold the belt back out of the way for now. That's what I'm gonna do. And now we'd start pulling some pieces off. Okay, and next you're gonna use a T50 torque head, just like this. And that's how we're gonna take this off right here. I already cracked it loose. So that's how you take the top one off. Make sure you don't lose the bolt. You're gonna have to reuse this piece if you don't buy a new one. It's a nice long bolt. Comes off just like this. All right. Your best bet is just to keep it together. Go put it down somewhere where you're not gonna lose it. Okay, so next you'll be removing these 4 bolts. I believe they are a 10mm or a 12mm, but we're gonna figure that out right now. And you can see it, the water pump was bad by how much this jiggles around in there. That shouldn't be doing that. Okay, so I cracked this loose. This pulley does spin, so you're gonna have to hold it by hand unless you crack them loose before you take off the tension. All right, so along with taking this pulley off, you're probably going to wind up leaking a little bit of antifreeze. So if you want to not leak on your floor, if you're doing this in your garage, you probably throw a tray underneath to catch some of the fluid. You're going to leak a lot of fluid throughout this process, but I've already leaked the majority of mine out. All right, so it's a series of different torque screws that are holding this in. And pro tip, as you take them out, just drop them on into place. So they're already where they need to be. Okay, so I have all of the bolts on the outer casing off. And now I'm gonna pull this hose. That part is gonna leak a little bit. The top hose, you could at least keep up. The bottom one definitely leaks a bit more. So. There we go. As it turns out, I did miss one bolt. It was right there. And this one's making me think I may have missed one on the other side. So let's examine this. And that bolt is right there. So this will be the official last one underneath. And then this whole thing should come out. So many bolts. But you can just pull this piece out now. In the process of taking this out, here's the old water pump. We can get rid of this, throw that to the side. But in the process of taking it out, I accidentally broke this sensor right here. Luckily, the prongs are still sticking out, so I'm just gonna slide them back into their places and hopefully it'll still work, or at least work well enough. We'll find out. So while I have it off, the water pump actually went bad. The thermostat was still good. But since it's only 2 bolts and I'm already doing one, I've already taken the bolts out, or loosened them up rather. Take these out now. And we'll just pull the old one. Which you may have to do it with a little force. All right. So here's the old one. Once again, throw that to the side. And now we're gonna put our new one in. Just put a fresh gasket sealant around the outside as well. And hopefully this lines up. Fortunately, this did. All right, let's get it. Put these bolts back in. Do this side as well. And these are 5/16, so just a 5/16 torque. All right, it seems nice and tight now. To this side one more. We're good. All right, so we have the new one on. I'm gonna leave this top hose out of the way. We're gonna put the water pump on, and then once we have all the bolts fastened, we can put the hoses back on. As for this piece that I snapped down here, the prongs were still sticking out, so I just took the side of the cap off and went directly into the prongs that were there, and now I'll wrap that with some electrical tape so no water can get in, and we'll be good. All right, on to the water pump. I am now going to take the bolts out. I'm going to get them all in place, and we'll get this piece put back in where it should be, start popping the bolts in, and I'll catch up with you guys in a few minutes. Okay, so I just got the water pump in the car, still have a few bolts left to go. Before I put the water pump in, I took the bolts and I once again transferred them from here back into the old water pump, so once again I could pick them out and know exactly where they go as I move forward. Okay, there's a whole lot of just interchanging between ratchets, but it's all coming together. Okay, so I just finished up getting the last of the bolts in. There's like 16 bolts or something like that in here. There's a lot. They line the whole outside. They're all in. The new gasket is in. I add a little bit of gasket sealant to the back side of it to keep it down as I put it in, and that kept it to the piece, so it's lined up perfectly. Good to start popping our hoses back on now. Just pops on. Nice and easy. All right, so we're just doing a little bit of this. All right, so we got the bottom hose on now. Just try and get this up a little further, and then I can clamp it. Let's get this in place. And now we can tighten both of these down. All right, so once you get these two hoses clamped down, there's a plastic clip right here. It normally breaks, but if you're lucky enough to still have it, you can re-clip it. Luckily, I had mine. And let's just make sure these are tight. And now we can put the pulley cover back on. That's the 4 bolts. The 10mm head. Pop one of these through. That'll be our guide for the first one. Tighten these down as best you can, but they don't have to be excessively tight. Yep. Okay, so we have the pulley back on now. It's time to get this one tightened back down into place. Then we just have to put the serpentine belt on, and we're done. Nice, easy job. Only takes a few minutes to do if you know what you're doing. Time to get the serpentine belt on, get some fluid back in it. Then we're good to go. So I had to stop filming for a minute in order to look up the diagram. You just put the 17mm socket back in the same way that you took it off. You just crank it counterclockwise, get yourself a little bit of breather room, and then squeeze that belt on there in the correct formation. And now the car should start up, no problems. Let's throw some fluid in it first, and we'll find out. Throw some coolant in here, going directly into the overflow tank. Seems to be the safest way to go with this car, so you don't create any air pockets. There's damn mosquitoes out here tonight. Not fun. Need a little bit more. Let's go find another one. Alright, got a new jug. We're going to continue to fill this. Let the air bubbles purge their way out. Okay, No more air bubbles. I think we're good to cap it off. We'll start the car, let it run for a minute, and then turn the car off and continue this process. Quick. Let the car run. Good time to check underneath the car, make sure nothing's leaking. We appear to be good. Nothing leaking. Our plug is holding up well. That's a sensor that I accidentally broke, but I got it good. Working fine now. Problem solved. All right, let's get some air in the tires, get them balanced real quick. It's cruise night, so let's take this thing down there. If you haven't done already, hit that like and subscribe button, and stay tuned for more. Peace.